The House of Representatives approved over the weekend a $95 billion package of aid to Ukraine, Israel, and other U.S. allies in a rare weekend session as Democrats and Republicans banded together after months of far-right opposition about renewed American support for repelling Russia's invasion of Ukraine. With that overwhelming vote on Saturday, the $61 billion in aid passed in just a matter of minutes, which again makes you wonder why they couldn't get this done 6 months ago. It delivers a fresh round of U.S. support by a war-torn ally. Many Democrats cheered on the House floor. Allies waved little blue and yellow flags for Ukraine. Aid to Israel and other allies, also approved by healthy margins, along with a measure to clamp down on TikTok. And there were some unique coalitions of votes on all of these bills. The whole package goes to the Senate, which could pass it as soon as tomorrow. President Joe Biden says he will sign it immediately. The Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, relied on Democratic votes yet again to get something done in order to ensure the military and humanitarian funding would win approval. It's the first major package for Ukraine in well over a year. It was the last aid package was December of 2022. And in true cartoon form, yet again, Republicans in the House played the role of Wile E. Coyote in a Roadrunner cartoon. Because recall, this was the group that when Ukrainian aid was first brought up around October, about the time the federal budget was supposed to get done, they said no aid for Ukraine without a border bill. And they went on to say, after the Hamas attack on Israel, no aid to Israel without a border bill. So a couple of far hardline, rock-ribbed conservatives worked with Democrats to work out a solid bill where both sides had to give a little, but it was one that was going to pass. It had overwhelming support. Donald Trump said, no, don't pass that bill. So suddenly all these Republicans turned around and said, oh, no, we don't want this bill. Well, it held up Ukraine aid for a while. It held up aid to Israel for a while. And look where we are now. The aid for Ukraine has passed. The aid for Israel has passed. The aid for Taiwan has passed. The border bill did not get done. They had a chance to get everything that they wanted, and they failed. So just keep that lesson in mind for the crowd that calls themselves, America First. They referred to this package of bills over the weekend as America Last. No, that's not what this is at all. They're surely trying to find some kind of positive way to spin the way that they are isolationists and populists. The problem is they haven't actually proposed to do anything. And it's not even just, on the world stage, but anything that would help regular Americans. Everything that they've talked about for the past 6 months or more is not so much doing anything for regular Americans, but maybe trying to scare them. There's those brown people at the border. There's those black people in the big bad cities. There's those woke people daring to embrace higher education. There's those people embracing diversity in the corporate workplace, who, by the way, by and large, vote Republican and are conservative, but they understand the value of diversity and inclusion. But in the Wisconsin delegation, once again, reliably, you could count on the, members of the Putin caucus to vote no. So on the aid to Ukraine, which passed on a vote of 311 to 112, you had Scott Fitzgerald voting no, you had Glenn Grothman voting no, you had Brian Stile voting no, Tom Tiffany and Derek Van Orden all voting no. Yeah, I missed a Republican there, Mike Gallagher. He voted yes, and then basically walked out of the building. He put off his resignation, again, his unnecessarily abrupt resignation. He put it off just long enough so he could vote yes on the Ukraine package, and now has left the 8th District in a lurch. We'll talk to Kristen Lyerly in a bit, candidate for that seat, but there's not going to be any special election. By him just quitting, there's no representative there until next January. On the aid to Israel package, there were no votes from one Democrat, Mark Pocan, and one Republican, Tom Tiffany. Now, Mark Bocan has explained on our program, his reasons why and what he sees as, a humanitarian crisis in Gaza brought about by, needless escalations of violence against, citizens, against regular folks in Gaza. Tom Tiffany's no vote was the same as it was on the others, that there shouldn't be any money going to any other countries unless we're fixing the border, which he helped kill that deal, or unless we're doing more for Americans at home, which again, he hasn't proposed or supported anything that has actually helped Americans, like, the bipartisan infrastructure bill or the other elements that President Biden got passed, like the Inflation Reduction Act. On the vote for aid to Taiwan, Tom Tiffany was the only no vote on there. And then that fourth bill, which would force TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the app to American owners or face a ban in the United States, if that were even going to happen. And frankly, given court appeals and everything else, I'd say the odds are slim at best. But on that TikTok bill, you had the Democrats, Mark Bocan and Gwen Moore, voting no, and all of the Republicans voting yes on that. So that's what made for a busy Saturday in the House of Representatives, and things now turn to the Senate, which should pass it in pretty short order.